Welcome back to Hot Takes and Deep Dives. This is Jess, and the time has come. And if we're going to do a deep dive on our feelings surrounding the Sex and the City revival, there's only one person that I thought of. You guys know Lara Marie Schoenhals from obviously Sex and Unique podcast, but she also created the podcast Saving Sex and the City 3. Please welcome back to the podcast. She's beautiful. She's a beautiful genius. Lara Marie Schoenhals. How are you, Lara?
God, thank you. That's just the best possible intro. I couldn't even think of a better intro myself. So I appreciate that. I'm so glad to be back. Thank you for having me. Another day, any day I get to wake up and talk about Sex in the City, it's a good day, you know?
So you started Saving Sex and the City 3 after the third movie was canceled because they couldn't reach an agreement with Kim Cattrall.
Yes. I started it in, I think, late 2017 or early 2018.
The thesis of the podcast is every episode, you do it with a guest every episode, and the guests have ranged from Michelle Collins to Dan Levy from Schitt's Creek, and you guys improv the final chapter of Sex and the City that also gives the fans closure on the story.
Sometimes we give the fans closure. Sometimes we probably piss the fans off or make the fans laugh. But because I don't like to impose any rules as to where the story can go. And I think it works because Sex and the City 2 was so outrageous and a departure from reality in every way, shape, and form in that universe. So it opens up for a lot of play to happen. But I'm always open to like a very more grounded take. Like Dan Levy's was one of my favorite episodes because it really did feel like a third movie that could possibly happen.
What have been like your favorite like plot lines that you guys have improvised like over the course of the show?
Well, I love the challenge too. I think what is so fun about the podcast is like what to do with Samantha, and like her character is always a challenge. So some people decide to recast her entirely. Some people decide to bring her back. One time she's been like a hologram, or like it's been her versus like her own hologram, and there's been a showdown. So I always like that. I go back to Dan's just because I really love the storyline he did of Charlotte's daughter Lily trying to find her birth mother, and then it involved like a girls' trip to China, which I think, given like the success of like Crazy Rich Asians and like Bling Empire and House of Ho, like I feel like I would love nothing more than to see like a luxury China trip. Also, I think that would be very healing given the current state of politics and global politics. Like, let's send our girls to China. And they do find Lily's birth mom, and it's like a very beautiful, touching story.
And you are rebooting the podcast to line up now with this announcement of the new show. Like, when will new episodes begin?
I'm still figuring that out, probably, and like I'm sure sooner rather than later. I'm banking episodes because I want to do a concerted push to making it a weekly podcast and not just like a passion project, because I literally just did it for the lols and because I have my other podcasts that make money. So I was just like, this is funny. But now I got serious about it this year and hired an editor and someone to help me produce it. And like, it's going to be a real thing. And I think it just made sense. Like when I heard the reboot, I was like, what about me? So
wait. So that's actually my first off. Like, what was your reaction? Mm-hmm. Sarah Jessica Parker posts on Instagram, seemingly out of nowhere. If you weren't following the rumor mill, all of a sudden posts this teaser promo for And Just Like That.
Yes.
What was your gut reaction to that?
I was kind of confused at first because it did. I mean, you're right. The rumors pop up every few months or so. Someone gives an interview talking about, will there be another iteration of Sex and the City 3? I feel like they've done a good job of like keeping the buzz alive over the years, and obviously like the fans want that. So, and I've always said, like, I've always truly thought like the door is open, like they will never close that door. Like it would be stupid to close that door. So I held a torch completely. And just like that, I am like optimistically skeptical, I would say, because it does not seem like it is going to be a comedy. It feels like it's going to be very serious and maybe somewhat heavy-handed.
But, you know, season 6 of Sex and the City was not a comedy either.
No, it was dark. It was pretty dark and brought up some like very serious questions.
I honestly feel like the show got better. Like with each season, I thought it got better and better. Season 6 was one of my favorite seasons.
I loved like the way that they did the final 6 episodes. Like I think it was really smart to take it in a more emotional direction, because I think as a fan you wanted to get a deeper sense of who these characters were. But when I've been at my most like ardent, my like favorite seasons are probably seasons 2 and 3.
Mm-hmm.
Like when it was truly just like a very formulaic kind of comedy where it's like, this is the theme. All these women are going to like fuck on variations of this theme. And then we'll be like wrapped up at the end with something like hilarious happening. Like someone getting jizz on like Miranda's bangs. You know what I mean? Like I like that. And I like it when it has that kind of tone. I think there's a way to definitely do both, but I'm just nervous that, and also like I want like escapist entertainment right now. I don't necessarily want to see our girls in the midst of a COVID-19 pandemic.
Yeah. Well,
like that just doesn't feel, I mean, I'm obviously like, I'm so excited for the show and like, I can't wait to see what the writers do and where they take things. I know I'll be like obsessed with it either way, but I'm really like, is this what I really want?
I had the exact same reaction that you did. I was really confused and skeptical. Like I think if I could put a word to it, my gut reaction was why? Like, have you guys thought this through? Like what's the purpose of this? The world does not need this. I will take it happily. I will watch every episode and I will love it. I'm sure.
Yeah.
But I'm a little nervous about it. Like we don't really need it.
Same. Like escapism or comedy, I think is like so key. And I don't know if we've been really getting a lot of that right now. Like I get it from watching old episodes of like reality TV that like really makes me laugh. But like I can't think about any comedy show that I've watched recently that's been like such a respite. And so that's why I was kind of confused, is because like that's what I want. And if you take Samantha out of the equation, she is very much like the comedic relief most of the time on the show, or that like comedy voice with like a droll comment here and there that the girls need to kind of balance out like Carrie's like earnestness and Charlotte's innocence and Miranda's pragmatic attitude. Mm-hmm. So I don't know what it will be. And also I agree with you. Like I'm like, it seems like it was very much thought up in the moment and being like, wow, this pandemic, like Sarah Jessica Parker was like, this pandemic is crazy and New York has really changed. And like, what would our girls be going through? And then like sent a text and then they just started making this thing. And I'm glad that they did. I welcome their creativity. And like, but I'm also like, you guys, like, you can't like do this without Samantha.
Okay, this raises the first like critical question. I don't know if this can work. Realistically, I don't know if it can work without Kim Cattrall as Samantha. What's interesting is Samantha wasn't I guess I'll ask you, like, who were you? Like, who did you identify with most?
As a young person watching the show, I obviously idolized Carrie Bradshaw. I was like, she has goals. I want to be her someday. Like, what an amazing woman. But then as I got older, I was like, Samantha is truly my favorite. Like, and I will rewatch episodes to this day, and almost every single thing that comes out of Kim Cattrall's mouth makes me cackle. And that's like very rare for watching just like a straight TV show or something. So she has become like my favorite. And also Miranda as like, just, I appreciate her sensibility. And like, I do think that she's like a feminist icon in a lot of ways. Mm-hmm. But when I was younger, I just really didn't understand Miranda. I was like, she's not like obviously hot. Her hair was really a barrier to entry for me.
She
and
got
like,
exponentially more attractive in season like 3, 4, and beyond. The hair grew out. They got the shade of red right. She became attractive to me.
She did. But also, when I look back, I'm like, God, style icon Cynthia Nixon like really was going against the grain. I like appreciate her outfit. Like I get it. And I'm so into it. I always loved Charlotte. I think she's also great comedic relief because her kind of like wide-eyed innocence plays really well off of the other women. But Samantha is definitely the one that I'm always most excited about when I'm rewatching episodes. So I don't know what a world will be like without her in it. Though I do think it's really smart of them to not like totally shut the door on her character, because in the same vein that I was always in the frame of mind of like never say never to like a reboot, I think it's also never say never to a potential Samantha comeback.
100%.
Like who's to say like they do 10 episodes of and just like that, and then it's a huge hit, and in season 2 Samantha comes back. Like I think that's very smart, and I think it could potentially happen. I hope always that whatever the issues are, they get worked out and everyone like re-enters the franchise feeling really good about the work.
I think it's insane that they never worked this out, that Kim Cattrall couldn't humble herself to work this out for the greater good of the cast, the crew. There's a lot of money at stake. You know, this is people's livelihood. You know, I love that podcast Origins, where it went through. You listen,
loved Origins.
For you guys who are Sex and the City purists and truly want a real deep dive into it, go find the podcast called Origins. It's basically like a limited series where they feature conversations with all of the entire cast, with the exception of Kim Cattrall. She's the only one not to participate. Plus Michael Patrick King, Darren Star, all the writers, producers. It's phenomenal, and it really tells the story from inception, the rise of the success, and how it changed all of their lives. And it does address the Kim Cattrall falling out. Like Sarah Jessica Parker is very honest, as is Michael Patrick King.
Yeah, and it really stood out to me that Kim Cattrall wouldn't even participate in that podcast. It felt like a kind of poor form on her part, because this is your art essentially that you made that impacted so many people's lives for the better. And it really does feel like, think about the fans in this situation, like do it for them. That being said, I understand her reasoning of like not wanting to be a part of that world anymore.
I don't understand how, like, doesn't she need the money?
I mean, she must have just made enough money like from that series and in syndication. I mean, it played on E for years. I'm sure she made like, by the end of it, was making good money, made really great money for the films.
Yeah.
She still like was in a Fox show, so I'm sure she made a nice chunk of change for that, even though that show I believe got canceled. Like, it seems like money is not important.
It's crazy to me. Cannot relate. I would be the first one to sign. I'm like, this is going to buy me my Hamptons house. Like, I would be like,
whatever
relate.
You want me to do, I'll do it. Yeah, like it would be a dream come true to be part of a franchise like
Literally
that.
Last night I was watching there's a documentary on Hulu about OnlyFans. Do you know of this?
Oh, how is that? I've been like, is that good or what? So I'm glad you watched it. Would you recommend it? Yay or nay?
Yeah, why not? But it's to the point where literally I'm sitting here, and I have a full-time job. I'm not like, but the thought did float through my head last night. Like, is that my path? Like, should I start? Like, for a second, I was considering starting an OnlyFans account. I'm like, how do I make more money?
Yeah, I mean, I think that I love the democratization of the internet has been really cool in that there's just so many outlets like OnlyFans, or I use Patreon for my podcast, and like that has been how I've like financially sustained at times. So, and the reason that I can like grow my podcast and grow my audience and like do things like hire an editor. So I love that kind of thing, because people, they use OnlyFans like for things other than just sexual content?
I think so.
Is it mostly it's mostly like boobs and like you have to show a little skin.
Correct. Yeah. Okay. I think it was wow, we're really off track here, but it's relevant.
We'll bring it back around, I'm sure.
We'll come back around. But yeah, OnlyFans was initially created as like kind of like a Patreon, but for more risque stuff. And I think maybe there were other creators on it, but it was the porn section of it that just skyrocketed to cultural awareness.
Yeah.
So,
well, and it's great because if you're working in porn, you can be in charge of your own content and then monetize your body and content the way that you see fit. You're not like beholden to an industry standard. So I think that's great.
So I'm considering porn, but
I did take like a tasteful nude the other night, so maybe I need to start just like putting them on OnlyFans. But that's the thing is I don't think my audience wants to see my tits. Like, I think it's mostly girls and gays who like don't really care. So I don't know, like I don't really like have a huge like straight male contingency, maybe like a light lesbian contingency, but I don't think enough where it would like financially crunching the numbers would make that much sense.
Oh my God. What I will say, back to the character of Samantha. So I identify and always have as a Carrie Miranda-izing. I present as a Miranda, but I'm a romantic. Like I'm a real true Carrie at heart. But I do have like a strong Samantha. I do have a strong Miranda vibe that I give off, and that's present within me. So now that leaves Charlotte and Samantha as like my two backup characters, as they fall 3 and 4. That having been said, I cannot envision this without Samantha, without Kim Cattrall as Samantha. She's such a good actress. She is critical to the show. And not only that, I think she's critical to the marketing of it. When you think of Sex in the City, you think of that poster and it's the 4 women walking on the streets of the city. I don't see it with 3. How can they do it?
Samantha brings such a glamorous element to the mix. Like she is the glamour. Like Carrie is kind of scrappier and she's definitely more like fashion. But Samantha is like tall in power suits, like living a glamorous life. And like that is the glitz and the like wealth factor that we want to see as an audience. Like the aspirational, like you aspire to have Carrie's wardrobe, but like you want Samantha's bank account and like power.
And the power, the attitude,
and her like, and her sexuality, and you want that too, because she was one of the people that like who she was fucking like really drove the show forward a lot of the time,
particularly the last couple of seasons with Richard and Smith. What was your entry point to the show?
I think I was like 15 or 16 when the show came out. And my stepmom at the time she was like also pretty young. Like she must have been like in her late 20s at the time. So she was really into Sex in the City. And I would watch it with her, like kind of secretly, or like whenever she was watching it, I would try and like join in. And so I saw the episode that really stuck out to me that I remember a lot was like the episode where Charlotte goes to Bunny's house in was it the Hamptons or in Connecticut or something like that. And she has like a flirtation with the gardener, and she has the fantasy of him like in the rose garden shirtless. And that's just like burned in my brain. Like I remember being in my dad's room, like with my stepmom laying on the bed and like watching that episode on TV.
I love that.
Yeah. And I just liked the way they all talked to each other as a young girl living in Oklahoma City. It was just, I'd never seen anything like that. And it was like, oh, if this is like city life or like what I can be like as an adult, like I'm in. My buy-in was like 100%.
I remember specifically the first episode that I watched live you know, like it was as it was airing. It was the season 3 premiere where they wind up on Staten Island. It's when Carrie began dating the politician played by John Slattery from Mad Men, and Charlotte has that iconic line, "I've been dating since I was 15. I'm exhausted. Where is he?" That got me.
That was a great one. And she's judging like the firemen, like sexy fireman competition. Yeah, that was amazing. I went to boarding school for 2 years and missed like that chunk of time of Sex in the City. And then when I got back from boarding school, I had been fallen out of touch with almost everyone that I knew at home. And so it really also became like this like respite. Like I got all the DVDs and the show was still airing. It was like it was entering its final season in 2004. And I bought all the DVDs and just watched it all the way through from like beginning up to where like I guess season 6 was either this part 2 was about to air. And that also was so it was like a healing. It made me feel less lonely because it was like, oh, I have these women. I can like watch them and their friendship. And then I felt like I was part of the group.
When I was in college, obviously we didn't have HBO. So I would have my parents record on VHS the episodes. And whenever I would come home, like Thanksgiving, Christmas, then that was my only access to it. I mean,
I love it.
We were VHS, like we were recording things. This is the year 2000, you know?
And remember, like, TiVo was invented during Sex and the City's time because Miranda has, like, a whole TiVo moment with Jules and Mimi. I also just remembered that one time on, like, a visit, like an off-campus visit with my mom when I was at boarding school, we were in a hotel room, and I turned on TV, and Sex and the City, like, it was playing, and I wanted to watch an episode of it. My mom is, like, very conservative and like very like I wasn't allowed to like watch like PG-13 movies growing up. Like she's just not down for that kind of content. And it was the episode, the Funky Spunk episode.
Oh, classic.
And she like almost lost. She was like, turn this trash off. Like I will not watch this. Like blah blah blah. And that kind of thing obviously like made me love it even more because I was like, if my mom hates it, I fucking love it.
This poses the question, who is this revival for? Is it just people like us, like existing fans? Like they're not going to get a new audience.
I think it's for Sarah Jessica Parker and Michael Patrick King is what it seems like so far.
Like many
seems very catered to like their sense, like ideas and sensibility. Like we did not ask for like this version, you know what I mean? So, and it seems like it's very like, from the interviews that she's given and how she's talked about it, it feels very much like this is her vision and like they're just going to do whatever it is they want to do. So
yeah, she has. So yeah, SJP has a quote saying, so regarding COVID, it's quote, "COVID will obviously be part of the storyline because that's the city these characters live in and how that's changed relationships once friends disappear. Beyond that, in sort of talking about Samantha, somebody else was quoted regard to how to deal with Samantha's absence. In the end, the creators settled on the foursome simply growing apart and that the friendship between Samantha and the other three, quote, fading away, just as in real life. People come into your life, people leave." This I resonate with. And it's the only...
Yeah, totally.
And it leaves the door open. I think that's the best solution for Samantha.
It also, if maybe they all faded apart somewhat, but then this brings them back together and then Samantha's like the final one, like how in the last episode of Sex and the City, like when it was a TV series, it was like the final moment was like, will Big and Carrie get together? And now maybe it's more focused on like friendship, like will this friendship get back together? That would be, if they did that, actually genius. And that would be like something truly for the fans, giving them that love story.
How are you not on this writing staff? Because that's actually great.
I would say that that's probably just my own fault, is that I've never ever even written a television pilot or anything. But it reminds me of an episode that I did of Saving Sex and the City 3 with Jake Wilson, where it was very like Carrie versus Samantha, and they were like totally like not friends anymore. And then by the end of that, his version of the movie, they reunited on Watch What Happens Live, and Andy Cohen himself like brokered their friendship, like them really breaking down the walls and the barriers of like what happened with their friendship, and they made up. And so it was very much a happy ending. I mean, I would love nothing more than to like be in that writer's room. Like, I'm sure I do know Michael Patrick King's assistant, and I've like obviously been peppering him with questions about like what the hell are they doing, blah blah blah. He will tell me nothing, but I think that they probably are in great hands and have like extremely talented people in there. So I don't know.
Going back to the who is this for, like many have pointed to the obvious comparison to Real Housewives of New York. I have been saying that for years that RHONY is the thing that replaced Sex and the City.
Totally. Yeah. I just had an episode that's in the can, yet to be released, with Molly Lambert, and she was making a lot of connections between that as well. Like the idea of women in their 50s living in New York who have a lot of money and who are very sexual and empowered. Like that is RHONY. And also with like a healthy dose of alcoholism.
Right. That's the one thing missing from Sex and the City is the alcoholism. You're dead on about that. You know, the comparisons have been drawn. I'm curious, so maybe you can like fill me in here. You know, the obvious comparisons or comparisons in the past that have been drawn. They've cast Carol Radswell as the obvious choice for Carrie because she's the writer, single, fashion forward. Sonia, Morgan, or Luann to Samantha. Who would be Dorinda or Charlotte?
Charlotte is Tinsley.
Oh my
sure.
God, yes. Oh,
yeah.
Dorinda is Miranda.
Yeah, Dorinda is very Miranda. I think in maybe previous seasons, like this last season, I don't know who she would be. She was Lexi Featherstone in this last season.
You're so right about Tinsley being Charlotte.
Yeah,
oh my
but
God.
Tinsley is like so Charlotte.
Like, does this does and just like that? First of all, I cannot get past that title. Why is this not being called Sex and the City?
I think they're really just trying to make it like a separate entity.
Horrible idea.
Almost. Like, yeah, I don't. It's very strange.
I have never seen a more like potentially more poorly marketed thing in my life.
So I guess they're still writing it. So they haven't shot it. So TBD, like when this is even going to come out, like I'll bet it comes out like around the holidays or something like that, because it feels like a holiday kind of vibe. But it does feel at this point kind of like hacked together, and like the idea of like New York is like the fourth character or something. It's like,
I can't.
All
Lara,
right. Like we get it. You love New York. Like, but
Lara, I can't get past the title. And just like that.
Yeah, it's a tough
I mean,
one.
aside from it just being a joke and it's fun to say as a joke, it has to say Sex in the City. What are they talking about?
I know. Calling it, like, I couldn't help but wonder would even be like,
oh, that would be
almost a better title.
I mean, both are equally stupid.
I don't know. It's also a difficult world to reconcile when you've gone so far off the grid in a second movie to where it didn't even feel like tethered to the world of the show. To reconcile that is something that these women have been through, and then now we're coming into like this more earnest, like gritty approach.
My prediction is they're going to pretend the second movie never happened. It'll pick up where the first movie ended.
Or just like pretend elements of the second movie never happened.
Like back to the Housewives. Does this version of it have an appeal for anyone that's not firmly in the Bravo fan community, like Housewives fans? Like this is the target audience.
I don't know. Like I'm trying to think, like I don't think people like my mom would watch it. And I don't know if like I don't know about like an older generation, like if that's going to be interesting to them. Like I loved book club, but I think these women are they're young. They're not like, it's not like senior citizen humor just yet. But I also am interested. I also like that it's like going to be a group of women who are in their 50s, like exploring what life means, because I don't think we have enough content like that, and we don't get to really often see that represented in film and entertainment.
Right.
So
outside of Housewives,
maybe it opens up a whole new genre of entertainment, and it's really groundbreaking.
All right, brainstorming ideas, like wish fulfillment. What is on your list of things aside from a title change?
Well, I do love any sort of travel element, though I don't feel like we'll get that if they're literally in the midst of COVID-19 pandemic. Any sort of like real estate porn I'm into. I think that we're going to need to see, I want to see Carrie's old apartment, but I also don't want to see it like how she redid it, because I thought that was very garish and unbecoming. But maybe she and Big have upgraded to like a much better apartment. Like I want to see everything refreshed and have it be like Nancy Meyer's Architectural Digest style interiors. Their stay-at-home fashion, I want to see that like just taken to the next fucking level. Like I need like deep fashion moments. Wait, so you want
Carrie and Big to still be together?
I guess, or like, I mean, I liked the idea when they leaked like parts of the script for the third movie and they said that he had died. Like I thought that was really interesting, and that would be really interesting to see Carrie navigate life post Big, because he was such a huge part of her life, but also kind of like a toxic element of her life in a lot of ways. So like, what is she? And I like Carrie single. Like, I think she's better when she's single. Like she came off really badly in the second movie. Like she was deeply annoying.
Totally agree. My mind, Carrie and Big. So they're married now, right? Like
they are married. Yeah.
Okay. They need to be divorced, but they're still on and off.
Yeah, I could see that totally. 100%.
Charlotte is still going to be married to Harry.
Yeah, they're going to be married to the end. I want to see Lily, like her daughters. They're teenagers now.
Yeah.
So I want to see like teen kind of content and storylines. I hope that they cast like, I'm so excited to see like who they cast to play the daughters, Lily and Rose. And then I also like Brady must be like college age. Like Brady's older now. So I hope they use that.
Oh no, it's Brady Hobbs. Hobbs. Yeah.
Brady Hobbs Brady. Yeah. I hope that BHB is like, did they use that same kid that played Brady all those years? So. Yeah, they must. Like he's the one that's really benefiting off of this, because I don't think he's been in much since Sex and the City. So this is a great comeback for him.
My number one demand, Miranda must be gay now.
Ooh, I would love.
Probably running for office. She has moved into the political realm. I want Miranda to have Cynthia Nixon's literal life. That is the only thing I can accept.
Totally be down with that.
And she must be gay now.
Or she's in an open relationship with Steve. Like they finally got over their like monogamy stuff, and like maybe they're separated or they've consciously uncoupled, and like she's dating women.
How fun would that be to see her dating women?
Because they didn't have enough queer stuff going on in the original series. Like you really had like Anthony and Stanford. Samantha dated a woman for, 4 episodes or something. Carrie made out with Alanis Morissette. She dated a bisexual, but decided that bisexuals were like crazy. Miranda, people at her law firm thought she was a lesbian and tried to set her up with that other woman, and they made out in an elevator, but Miranda realized she was straight. So we need real lesbians hours happening. Yeah. Lesbian representation.
And it's so did you ever watch The L Word?
Yeah, I watched like the first couple seasons. I was obsessed.
This has been done. It is ripe for content and drama and antics. That could be really compelling. That has to happen.
Yeah, the L Word's coming back.
They've already came back. It's coming back for a second season. They're filming the second season now.
Oh wow, where have I been?
Get up
Not
on
Showtime enough. Yeah.
What else? I mean, yeah, I still want to see Steve. I love Steve.
I love Steve, and I think that he feels like a very central character to the franchise. Like, and him and Miranda's relationship is very interesting. And then I do hope that it all leads up to having Samantha be back in their lives. Even if she's not like a main character, like still being in that world of the show, I think she's like an important person.
At the end of the day, I cannot buy that they wouldn't like figure out a way to just get her for like one thing and then like it will feel complete.
I think I have faith that there will be like something. I don't think you can just like complete, like she can't just be not in it whatsoever.
Something we didn't talk about with Sex and the City, the other like call to action is more diversity. How are they going to do that without it seeming like, oh, there's the diversity hire?
Yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how they do that. I think that they definitely hired a lot of women of color for the writers' room. So I think that's like a great first step. And
they can totally bring back Jennifer Hudson.
Yeah, they could bring back Louise. She deserves a comeback just based on that horrible bag that Carrie gave her. Like, even if it's just one scene where she gives it back to Carrie, like that would be justice. Yeah, I'm intrigued to see how they work it in.
Do you think that it'll go on beyond the initial 10 episode order? Like, is this going to like go on for 3 years?
If they're like a huge success, like why wouldn't they go on? I mean, those women are making $1 million an episode. Like
they are.
Yeah,
shit.
They're
How
making
can Kim Cattrall turn that down?
I don't know. I would literally do anything for 10 mil.
That is fucking crazy. She's crazy.
Or just must like psychologically fuck with her so much. I mean, bringing it back to the Origins podcast that you were talking about earlier, like they did say that Kim Cattrall, I guess, came to the producers like midway through the series and was like, you know, I want to have like a producer credit or like make more money and be called a producer on the show because her character was such like a breakout star. And the way that the deal was structured with HBO and everything, it just wasn't a possibility,
right.
Which is a thing that happens. Like that happens and contracts are the way they are. And it's just like, that's the way the cookie crumbles. But to have such a chip on her shoulder, I mean, I understand and I also don't understand.
It seems like the root of the problem was that when the initial deal was done, the initial contract, SJP and Kim Cattrall were the highest paid because they were movie stars before they came to the show. But this was a star vehicle for Sarah Jessica Parker. She was already an established star. Like she had just come off the First Wives Club and she was a child star. She was in tons of stuff throughout every single decade, a known bankable person. Is it just delusion and like not being a team player?
I think it's a little bit of that. I think so, yeah. Because after a certain point, it's like you just have to accept that it is what it is and then use it to your advantage. But if you're really feeling like creatively robbed, it's kind of hard to shake that off and then do your job and keep like a grounded perspective on what's happening. Especially if it's like you feel like everyone's against you or it's causing you emotional distress, etc.
Well, I hope she gets the therapy she needs to come to
Same.
for the girls to reunite, and then she can be full-time for season 2.
Give the people what they want. Just do it. It's literally a win-win at this point. Like you might have to humble yourself to be around like the cast again, but I'm sure that you guys could all make it work.
There's nothing SJP wants more than to get Kim Cattrall back because she knows it'll be that much more successful. Lara Marie Schoenhals, tell everybody where they can find you online, all your podcasts, everything.
You can find me online at Lars Marie across all social media. You can listen to my podcast, Sexy Unique Podcast, everywhere that podcasts are purveyed. You can also listen to Saving Sex and the City 3. Old episodes are out for your listening pleasure now. New episodes to come.
Well, once hopefully the retitled and Just Like That is on, I want to do a full recap once the whole thing has aired, or maybe once we're halfway through. Let's see. I want to go back and see how many of our wish list items have been ticked off. That would be interesting.
Yeah, we'll have to check in.
Little check-in.
I look forward to that.
I love it. Yeah. Guys, you can follow me, Jess X NYC. Follow the show account, Hot Takes Deep Dives, and Lara and I will be back and see you soon. We're just going to take a quick break and be back with Samaj Bludson. While last year was emotionally draining for everyone, I sincerely feel that there are positive things on the rise. It's time to take what we learned last year and start heading in a new direction. That's why instead of just celebrating a month of mental health awareness, it really should be our priority all year long. A first step is with online therapy. Talkspace is the #1 online therapy platform that has thousands of licensed therapists trained in over 40 specialties, including anxiety, relationships, and more. Talkspace is a fraction of the price of in-person therapy. Instead of waiting for an appointment, you can send unlimited messages to your therapist 24/7, and they will engage with you daily, 5 days a week. Talkspace is also secure and private, using the latest end-to-end bank-grade encryption technology to store client information and complies with the latest HIPAA regulations. So listen, if this is calling to you, you'll get $100 off your first month with Talkspace as a Hot Takes listener. To match with a licensed therapist today, go to Talkspace.com, TALKSPACE.com. Make sure to use the code Deep Dives to get $100 off your first month to show your support for the show. That's Deep Dives and Talkspace.com. All right, welcome back, guys. And now I am here with Samaj Bludson. Hey, Samaj.
Back from the grave almost a year later. Hello, hot taker and deep divers. Hello.
You stole that from Ryan Bailey.
I did, absolutely.
Now, Samaj and I have become quite close over the past couple of years. This guy, he will text me at 7 a.m. with some thoughts about God knows what. And you just launched your own podcast.
I did. I never imagined I would be here, but here I am. I'm now joining.
As Bethany says, started from the bottom and now we're here. We'll say the name of it and how Ryan really encouraged you.
Absolutely. So yes, you will all see Ryan Bailey and both Jess, your host here, played a big part in me taking to the mic myself. So let's say, last year I really got deep into the podcast where I listened to all these great shows, all these fun ideas and topics, most of them Bravo, but it all I can always trace it back to Jess, because Hot Takes and Deep Dives is the first podcast I listened to and became aware of, which led me down my journey eventually through Oh No Bravo down to Ryan. So throughout the time, they're like, you're doing all these guest spots, all these nice people have me on their show, and you should do your own. I'm like, no, I'm gonna let you guys do it. You guys are the pros. But eventually they wore me down and I took to the mic. So for the last 6 months, I've been writing, recording, crying, drinking, all the things.
I mean, you interviewed Ryan while he had COVID.
I did. Because I'm dedicated to this. I really want this to be good. Even if only season 1 is the only season, it's gonna be the best season ever. So I took no prisoners. I went balls to the wall.
And it's called Samaj Gets Canceled.
That is the hashtag, Samaj Gets Canceled. But the show is called Me, I Am Canceled.
Okay, now I just want to clarify something. And I wonder if your listeners and your fans on Instagram, does everyone get that this is a Mariah Carey reference?
Some do, some don't. So that's definitely the root of it. It's definitely inspired by her album titled Me, I Am Mariah, the elusive chanteuse.
Of course.
But also with the climate we're in, cancellation, cancel culture, all these fun and not so fun things. I'm like, you know what? Let me just go with this. It's season 1. If I do decide to continue, I can always change the title later, and I'm just going to have fun with it.
I love it. But I do love that it is this. It's not an absurd. It's just if it's not a big Mariah fan, if somebody's not a big Mariah fan, they're not going to get the reference. But This whole time I meant to ask you, I just want to confirm this is a Mariah Carey reference.
100%. Honestly, this title, much like the rest of his show, is really going to be for the Hot Takes and Deep Dives audience. So I need all of you to come over when you're done listening to this show, subscribe to me, because I think you will all get a kick out of me and my friends coming at you from all across the country. I got friends in New York, friends in California, friends in Texas, and we're just having fun. So come have fun with us.
So something that's interesting about Samaj and I, and sometimes I get frustrated with him, to be completely honest, is that he doesn't quite appreciate that which came before him. And I texted you the other night, what year were you born? Now, I know that you're in your 20s, but I literally texted you 2 nights ago, like as I was going to sleep, by the way, what year were you born? And announced to the crowd what year you were born.
Divers, I dove into the ocean of life in the year of 1995.
Okay. I was born in 1982.
So not too long ago.
And I just did the math. Listen, I actually minored in math, and I still can't. Like, I need a calculator to do 2 + 2, swear to God.
Same.
I pulled out my calculator. It puts us at a 13-year age difference.
Wow. Love that for us.
Love that for us. And this is why, when you were in high school, like, what was, as they say on, like, Las Culturistas, this podcast that I love. Like,
those cool guys.
What was the culture that made you say that culture is for you?
Just reality TV for sure. So specifically, like, you know, the I Love New York of it all, the American Idol of it all was really big. You know, Room Raiders, Parental Control, Boiling Point, the very beginning of Ridiculousness. Punk was still a thing. We were just coming out of Jackass. So like, you know, that little pocket.
And what about, like, musically?
Musically, so it was definitely two worlds, because, you know, growing up in a black household, I heard mostly, you know, black music, but what I did hear differently was I was aware of 3 artists mainly. I was aware of Gwen Stefani, Christina Aguilera, and Britney. And then at home it was like 50 Cent, Nas, Jadakiss, Fabulous, Nori, all those guys, like basically like all those like New York rappers, especially 50 Cent, because I'm from Queens, so, you know, I know he's from, his mother's house is like 15 minutes from my great grandmother's house, so like 50 Cent had like a special place in my heart. That was when he was still 50, before he became 50 to us in current day.
So what I thought we would do, listen, there's plenty of stuff that I am not culturally aware of, just in terms of, because we have these different reference points for not only pop culture, but specifically gay pop culture. And I have pointed Samaj in the right directions on some past occasions.
You,
I pointed you in the direction of Finding Prince Charming. Did I not?
You did. It was a hidden gem for sure.
It was a hidden gem.
Hidden gem.
And you went on your own, not prompted by me.
No.
You went on your own Madonna journey.
Inspired by you for sure.
Talk about what you did.
Yes. So after hearing the amazing Hot Takes and Deep Dives episode where Jess, you know, went track for track with her favorite Madonna songs, and just in general her love about Madonna, talking about it on the show, posting about it, just all of her Madonna content in general, I'm like, I gotta be missing something. Now, previously, I had heard, you know, some albums here and there. I've seen clips on the internet. I was aware of her social media presence as it grew over time, as social media grew. But I had never taken, like, that deep dive of my own to really see what was there.
You mean to, like, listen to the albums?
Yeah, like, just listen to the music. The closest thing I went to that was going to the North Babylon Public Library every time there was a new album from around the year 2012. So I actually am aware of MDMA and everything on, but everything before is, like, a blind spot. So I'm like, you know what? Why don't I sit here and listen to these albums? So I hit up my girl Sophia, and I'm like, girl, we're going to do Madonna Mondays. Every Monday, we're going to listen to one of Madonna's albums. And
I was floored.
Eventually, we got through it. We listened to Madam X 2 weeks ago. So I wrapped out that journey about 2 weeks ago.
So here's my question.
Yes.
What are your top 2 albums? Like, which do you think were the top 2, like, greatest bodies of work that she's done?
Sure. So it's Bedtime Stories and Hard Candy.
Wow. Well, you know, first of all, look right over there. We're in my apartment, by the way. Look on the third shelf all the way to the right.
Third shelf to the right. Oh, Bedtime Stories. Oh, the cassette tape.
It's a cassette tape of
that.
Bedtime Stories. That I've said on here before, that's my favorite album. Hard Candy, that's a controversial pick.
Is it?
But yeah, because a lot of Madonna fans feel that it's more of a Timbaland, Justin Timberlake, Pharrell album. Kanye album,
her black album, her hip hop album.
Correct.
Yeah.
She was just like hopping on trends,
right?
You know, I'm so excited that you did that. So
it was good.
So sort of on that note, what we're about to do is we're going to give each other recommendations. Now, this can be any genre of media. It can be TV show, music, like an album, a book, a movie, anything that you think I need to watch, and vice versa.
Yes. And I'm excited because I know you're going to give me good stuff. You've literally never steered me in the wrong direction with anything. So I'm excited to see what you got for me today.
All right, you go first.
Okay. So I'm just going to come out swinging. This is the one thing. If you watch nothing else, if you listen to nothing else, please take this one. So the one thing I need Jessica Rothschild to watch, hands down, 100% non-negotiable, because this is really like I think the best show that we have gotten out of the last maybe 10 years, and that is Netflix's Bojack Horseman. I need you to watch Bojack Horseman.
Wow.
This show is everything.
Done and done.
And let me tell you why. So Bojack Horseman, or the Bojack Horseman show, is the story of Bojack Horseman, who is a horse, but he was a sitcom star from the 90s. And the show, throughout 6 seasons, really just chronicles his journey of being a star, looking back on his life, you know, wanting that life back, and being in his current day space, trying to be at peace with himself. He's overweight. He's an alcoholic. He suffers from depression and anxiety. He's also aware that he's a horse. So like, while he's got like his like human antics, he's also doing like horse shenanigans, like horse antics.
Who is the star of the show?
So it's Bojack, voiced by Will Arnett, and then we have his agent, Princess Carolyn, who is voiced by Amy Sedaris.
Yes, this is how I know. Oh, this is amazing. I'll watch this, no problem.
Ever. It covers everything. It covers mental health, depression, anxiety. It covers, you know, celebrity, like the upside and downside of fame. It covers interpersonal relationships. Every character has their own storyline. Like there are several episodes where it's just like a Bojack episode, a Princess Caroline episode, a Diane episode. And they're all such well fleshed out, complex characters, even though they're animated. It's such a it's a full work.
I have been recommended this before by friends of mine.
It's a full work.
A+. All right, you ready for your number one recommendation? Now, this is going to spin off of your Madonna journey. And I don't, maybe you've seen this before, I don't know. But to start, have you seen Truth or Dare?
I have not. And you've told me like 100 times to do it. So it's on my list. It's on my to-do list.
Samaj.
I know.
You need to see.
I should leave right now. How dare I?
Well, actually, I'm going to combine 3 things right here.
Okay.
Truth or Dare. You understand that here's the situation. Documentaries, of course, existed prior to Truth or Dare, but this was the groundbreaking music documentary.
Right.
This was also, in a way, the birth of reality TV.
Documentaries existed before Truth and Dare, but
Of
no,
course.
they didn't. Okay, gotcha.
Yes, yeah, they did, but not like this. And also, if you've seen Gaga's documentary, or if you've seen
5'2", yeah.
5'2", if you have seen the Taylor Swift documentary,
Right.
just sit and watch these chicks try so hard
To be Madonna.
In Truth or Dare. All right, so
I'm
this
for
is
it.
critical for your development.
You're talking to someone who purchased the Monster Ball tour DVD and the Femme Fatale tour DVD. So I'm very into that genre of like, here's the music, here's me running around backstage, here's me going to, you know, bus, tour, another tour, city, another city.
Yeah, this is just like iconic shit.
Oh, sure.
So that's number one. The second thing on Madonna is, so now you've listened to all of the music.
Yes.
Have you watched her old videos?
The music videos? Now, those I have watched throughout my time. Maybe not with the intention to sit down and watch a Madonna video, but I am aware of the music videos.
I need you to familiarize yourself with, I need you to get a real look at the Papa Don't Preach video, the Open Your Heart video. I mean, these are iconic videos.
I know the songs. Oh, yeah.
Cherish.
Sure.
No, it's not about the songs. This is like the visuals.
Okay, yeah.
That she created. She also was the birth.
Material Girl. That video I see clear as day. The pink, the pearls,
Yeah.
the boys. I see it.
Like, not only did she invent reality TV, she also invented the music video. In a lot
Madonna
of
just
ways.
invented, period. No, I believe it. Yeah.
All right.
100%.
And also to dovetail off of Truth or Dare.
Mm-hmm.
So this Truth or Dare was filmed she was chronicling the Blonde Ambition tour.
Yes.
And this is, the height of Vogue. This was the height of her global.
Come on, Vogue.
This is the height of her global success. So to dovetail into this, do you watch Pose?
I do not.
Samaj.
I know. I've been told. I know.
This is firmly in the wheelhouse of what I'm talking about, because
Okay.
it's about that community, the underground ball community that was around in the late 80s and the early 90s. It's through the eyes and the experience of these trans women who started this scene, and that is where Madonna was inspired from. To do like they were voguing. She just appropriated it and brought it to the mainstream.
Yeah, no, you talked about that on your episode. But I want to say Peppermint, the drag queen. You all went back to like the Rent and the Pose of it all, and like the whole Michael A, like the whole Batman versus Joker of it all, that whole scene. So yeah, this all.
I don't know what you're
familiar.
talking about, Batman versus Joker, but yeah. All right, what's next on your list?
Okay, so number 2, I'll give you an album. This, I truly believe, is a music album that has no skips. It is a pop album. It's a little cheesy, but the lyrics are very good for what it is. And that is the debut album, the only album from one and only Disney Channel's Miss Bridget Mendler, Hello, My Name Is. It is 12 tracks of gold. And I think you'll appreciate her singer-songwriting styles. And then if you like the album, then you'll love the EP that came out in 2016 called the Atlantis EP. And she played at Babies about a few years ago. So I got to meet her after her playing her show. And she's a really good performer. And I listen to this album all the time.
Do you have another music recommendation?
Yes. So in the same vein of like dumb, cheesy Disney pop, Ashley Tisdale Headstrong. She checks every box on I need a pop music album. She's got the standard poppy track. She's got the mid-tempo song. She's got the ballad. She's got the hip-hop song. She's got the Latin song. You know how pop albums they check boxes?
Yeah.
That's the check the box album. And I love her for that. I love a system. I love a checklist. I love factory setting. So that album is that. Headstrong, Ashley Tisdale.
Okay. You ready for your next recommendation?
Yes.
And I know that you don't watch this. And you just literally referenced it. Drag Race.
I do not watch Drag Race. Sorry, guys.
You specifically, I need you to, you're going to watch 2 seasons.
Sorry, gays.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're going to watch 2 seasons. You could start at season 4, but I'm going to have you start at season 5.
That's what Tom said.
Yeah, Tom Hamlet.
Yes.
So season 5, the All-Stars on here, and they would later go on to All-Stars. These are names.
Can you explain that really quick? Drag Race and then Drag Race All-Stars, like aren't there like different iterations of it, or is the show just titled Drag Race All-Stars?
So Drag Race All-Stars is basically takes the standouts who did not win their seasons but pits
so like Last Chance Kitchen almost, right?
Yes.
Okay.
But it'll take people from like the last bunch of seasons. It's not just like one season.
Okay.
So names that like these are like Drag Race icons. They all started from Drag Race season 5. Alaska, Detox, Alyssa Edwards.
They just had Detox over there on Dumpster Dive.
Exactly. Yeah. Jinx Monsoon. They all came from season 5. Season 6, if you're into it after season 5,
okay,
continue to season 6 because you'll get to know Bianca Del Rio, right, and Courtney Act, and these are 2 icons as well.
Yeah, Bianca is. I think it's like a household name by now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, no, I'll check it out. You're not the first person to tell me.
You would love this.
I have to watch it, and everyone says I would love it, so I will definitely give it a try.
All right, what's next on your list?
All right, so next for you, we're going to take it back to the television. This is a 90s pick, so maybe you'll appreciate the time of it all. But I'm going to throw it over to Martin, the Martin Lawrence show, the self-titled show.
Oh, of course.
Okay, yeah. So I think it is really like one of like the framework, the foundation setters for a show that's more than a show. It's like a sitcom, but he also breaks into sketches. He breaks into different characters. He almost does like different universes at times. Like one season of Martin could really be like 2 Marvel movies, 2 seasons of Housewives. Like he really does so much in his seasons, or rather did so much. It's not currently airing, but that show is just so dynamic. And the pure...
Do you have a favorite episode?
No, it's... So, you know how, like, you can tell Siri to, like, shuffle your music?
Yeah.
If I could tell to shuffle Martin, I wouldn't care, because there's not one episode.
Because it's just 30-minute sitcom.
Yeah.
Okay.
And but there's so much in that 30 minutes. It's amazing.
Okay, next up for you.
Yes.
Are you a Wendy Williams fan?
How you doing?
Okay. Have you listened to her interview from the 90s with Whitney Houston?
Unfortunately, yes.
Oh, you have?
Yes, I have.
Okay. I didn't know if you would... Wait, why do you say unfortunately?
I just feel bad.
You feel bad for
I
Whitney
do,
during
yeah.
that?
But for the listeners that don't know, why don't you tell them why this is a pick?
I mean, so this was when Wendy was on terrestrial radio. She was a shock jock, and she had relationships and friendships with rappers, Whitney, and she just really called shit out. In this particular interview, which you can listen to in full on YouTube, Whitney was high, right?
Yeah.
Well, or Wendy starts like asking her like about
accusing,
the drugs.
Right. Yeah. Just off the top. And usually people, they don't like to be called out about their alleged drug use. But Wendy Williams being Wendy Williams, she's like, okay, everyone knows this. Why are we hiding? Why are we pretending? So she tries to question Whitney Houston about it, and Whitney is just not having it.
Questioning drug use, money problems, sex life.
Abuse.
Abuse. And also Whitney was promoting her maybe this was from 2002, because she's promoting her 2002 album called Just Whitney. Mm-hmm. Talking about her marriage, cleaning up rumors. You just have to listen to this. Interview.
It's a great interview. I mean,
Whitney's on the phone, by the way.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah. She's not in studio.
I mean, the amount of time she's like, "Girl, I'm gonna hang up on you."
She keeps threatening to hang up, but she never does. This is why Wendy was brilliant on the radio. Whitney kept threatening to hang up, and she never did. Wendy managed to keep her on the phone for like 25 minutes.
Great interviewer. So props to Wendy Williams.
Props to Wendy Williams.
And I think eventually she did apologize because she knew she was going hard on her that day. But for what it is, you're right. That is just a staple moment.
Okay, what else you got? I got one more after this.
All right. So my last one, this is probably just like for like the audience at large, but I love a good CW drama or action or superhero show. So my last pick for you is going to be CW's Arrow. It is a story of Oliver Queen, who was a billionaire. He was, just running the streets of, I think, Star City, having all these women, just pissing his life away. And on a trip with his father on a yacht, they get stranded in the middle of an island, and his dad kills himself. And then he's stuck on the island, and he tries to get back to civilization. He ends up on that island for 8 years, where he then becomes feral and eventually learns how to fight and defend himself.
Wow.
Comes back to his city.
That sounds cool. Yeah.
Yeah, comes back to his city, and he becomes eventually the Green Arrow, and he's fighting crime. And through, between coming to Green Arrow, he has to find that balance of, am I a killer? Am I still a human? Because again, he's on the island 8 years. He's fighting for his life every day. And as the seasons go on, they incorporate modern day issues. So as the story grows, you grow with it.
All right, you ready for my final recommendation?
I'm so sad we're at the end, but yeah.
Are you familiar, or have you even heard of Hedwig and the Angry Inch?
Yes.
Have you seen the movie?
No, but I know of it because one of my good girlfriends, Julia Orsini, she was obsessed with it. And while we were in high school / college, while it was playing here in the city, she would every weekend bust it up here to Broadway and go.
No kidding.
She went to every show she met.
She saw John Cameron Mitchell in it?
Is that the guy from
it's the guy who wrote the show.
Who's the actor that was playing the main who was playing Hedwig?
John Cameron. What year is this roughly?
I want to say probably 2017, 2018.
Oh, the revival. Yes. Revival. Okay, so a lot of people did it.
She was
Neil Patrick Harris played Hedwig, Taye Diggs, Andrew Rannells from Girls. Oh, the guy from Dexter.
Yes.
Too. Yeah. What's his name? Michael C. Hall.
Yes, yeah. So she's got 100 pictures with him.
So why didn't she ever take you to see it?
I don't think I could afford to go.
Damn.
She had picked up extra shifts at her job to be able to afford these tickets. I think she went to 20 shows.
So was she an original? Was she introduced to Hedwig through the movie?
Probably.
Okay.
I don't know her story, how she got there, but she went to a lot of shows.
Wow. So did she tell you what it's about?
Yeah. From just listening to her talk about it. And it sounds like a great story. At first I thought it was a Harry Potter spinoff, but I realized very quickly that was not the case.
Oh my God. Well, I have a surprise for your friend. You can let her know that John Cameron Mitchell is an upcoming guest on this very die. Program.
I will let Julia know ASAP, and she will die.
He's the creator and was the original star of Hedwig. He wrote, created, he starred in the movie. This is the dude.
I will text her that link directly. She will die.
And the last thing, actually, on that same note, did you ever have the opportunity to see Rent?
No, I've never seen it in play or movie form.
Have you listened to the soundtrack? Do you know the music?
Yeah, everyone knows that one line, 925,600 minutes. Yeah.
Listen to the Rent soundtrack. And then if you like it, you can watch the movie. I mean, I wish you could just see the play, but get familiar with the music. I mean, Rent is my favorite show of all time.
Really? Okay.
Oh, I grew up. I've seen it legit over 20 times.
Wow.
The way your friend, you're describing with Hedwig,
gotcha.
That's how I was with Rent. I mean, it was the first Broadway show to depict gay couples in this certain way, interracial couples.
Yeah.
It dealt with AIDS. It was so gritty, New York City. I mean, Hedwig was too. Hedwig was nuts for the day.
Yeah,
because that was years prior.
All over the place.
And to have dealing with trans sort of issues.
Yeah.
But yeah.
The one play I wish I could see that many times is Phantom of the Opera. My grandma showed it to me when I was in middle school or elementary, and I just fell in love with it. I know every song. Phantom of the Opera is my jam. So I hope when Broadway opens next year, I can go see Phantom of the Opera. That's my dream show.
And if Hedwig ever comes back, we will go together.
Absolutely.
And if Rent is ever revived, we will go.
Let me know. I will. Just like I'm here today, I will also be there.
All right. That's it. Tell the children one more time where they can find your show, where they can follow you on social media.
Sure. So first of all, thanks for having me. I really do mean that. And I can be found to continue this conversation. You guys give me your recs. I'll give you some more recs. Hit me up on Twitter at SamajXCX, and then find me on Instagram, Pick Your Poison, at my personal page, Samaj with an H, or on the podcast page, Samaj Gets Canceled. And the podcast, Me I Am Canceled. Just type my name in there, Samaj Bloodson. I'll come right up. And we'll have a nice conversation.
Me, I Am Canceled. And I did an episode of your show, which will be out at some point. We don't know when, but it'll be out.
My friend Spencer is actually working on it right now. He's editing it. Producer Spencer is currently, he's wrapping up on it now. So it'll be out soon. It'll be out before we know it.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And by the way, you are sitting where many a housewife has sat during an interview. Heather Holla Thompson, Dolores Catania.
Oh my God, Dolo, love her.
Not a housewife, and perhaps the most hated woman on Bravo currently, Miss Hannah Berner herself.
Wow, Burn Dog sat on his couch. Love to see it.
And okay, not to be forgotten.
Yes.
Not to be forgotten. Scary Island herself, Kelly Benson.
Wow, KKB. You know, she was on $1 Million Listing last week.
Oh, I saw.
Obsessed. Love her.
All right, guys, you can follow me, JessXNYC, follow the show account, Hot Takes Deep Dives, and please go follow Samaj. He's the best. He wants to talk to everybody. So that's that.
Thank you so much.
Love you.
Love you too. Bye.